where they were required to pose topless for a photo shoot while spectators invited by the team looked on. Now, some of the cheerleaders were then required to attend a nightclub event as escorts for some of the team's male sponsors, according to the Times. The cheerleaders said there was no sex involved, but they felt the team was, quote, pimping us out. The team has responded with the following statement. Each Redskin cheerleader is contractually protected to ensure a safe and constructive environment. The work our cheerleaders do in our community, visiting our troops abroad, and supporting our team on the field is something the Redskins organization and our fans take great pride in. Now, there will be people today who will argue or say, well, why do we still have cheerleading and why this and that? That is not where the focus should be on this story. I think a lot of women, and I think where we are in this current climate right now, is that we're sick and tired of that being the ultimate response to a story like this. The story to this is women should be allowed to do the things they love to do, and if cheerleading is one of those passions you have, do it. What they don't need to endure is the behavior and the entitlement of certain men who have decided that these women are objects deemed for their entertainment, and that's all. I don't need women to change what they're doing. I need men to change what they're doing. And this story just runs the gamut of everything that it could possibly go wrong as far as this type of situation.
You have to read it in its entirety to get a full sense of it. That was a good snapshot of it that you presented. But, I mean, it's horrifying when you read all the details. Now, in the interest of fairness, not only did the team release that statement, but I don't know how to process the comments from the woman who was employed by the team running the cheerleading, Stephanie Jojokian. I hope we're pronouncing her name correctly, but she, in response to the interview, seems horrified that the women involved felt this way and that she herself did not feel this was in any way the way this was presented. But when you couple this with a recent story about the way the New Orleans Saints cheerleaders are handled by the team and where they have to walk out of a restaurant if a player walks into a restaurant, there have been just too many of these kinds of stories surrounding the National Football League and cheerleaders that someone needs to do a very close look at the way this circumstance is being handled, the way this profession is being handled, and the way the National Football League handles their cheerleaders.
Well, we're a society that chooses profit over decency. And unfortunately, a part of the reason why cheerleaders are involved in sports is because sex sells in America.
Right.
And they're being objectified in a lot of different shapes, forms, and fashions in a lot of different industries. We're highlighting it right now because we're talking about the Washington football team cheerleaders. There's a reason why Red Auerbach never wanted cheerleaders, and the Boston Celtics franchise never had them until he passed away. He felt like that would distract from the game of basketball. Then it has gone now from watching the sport to entertainment, which has taken it from being cheerleaders to dancers. So we see it in boxing with the ring girls. We see it in sports a lot of times with the cheerleaders.
It makes sense. But this is why I'm torn. I was never a cheerleader. I don't understand the purpose of cheerleading. But it's not for me to take away from women who do enjoy it and want to do that in their lives. So then we come to the situation is, why is it that we're constantly, when something like this happens, we automatically go, well, cheerleaders are supposed to do this. That's not what the problem is. There is a fundamental lack of education starting at a young age for boys in this country about how you are supposed to treat girls that grow up to be women. And it starts young. I don't know how to fix it. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend I'm a parent. All I know is that it starts young, and it's not just an NFL problem. It's a societal problem. It doesn't just mean cheerleaders. It means women in the office, women that serve you your food. There's a way that some men have been taught it is okay to look at and treat women that has continued to go on. You can take away cheerleading. You can keep taking away whatever you want to take away. That doesn't change the way these men are behaving. That's what has to stop.
Yeah, it's also important to point out, I don't disagree with the word you said, it's also to point out there's another reason not to get rid of cheerleading, which is that there's a lot of women who wind up getting college scholarships and all sorts of other things as a result of that. Cheerleading is a very different thing on the high school and college level than it is when you get into the professional level, and these are adults that are doing it. So there are any number of reasons why I agree with everything you said, and that the notion that we should look at this problem and say, let's get rid of cheerleading.
Let's get rid of men.
That's laughable.
We have a whole bunch of problems here. Let's get rid of cheerleading. That would be exactly the wrong way to look at this. I agree with you.
I can't wait for those tweets about what a feminist I am. Moving to the NBA, Kevin Love's elbow, and it was a big one, to DeMar Derozan's jaw late in Game 1, just like Jalen called it, was upgraded by the NBA from a common foul to a flagrant 1. Here's the problem. At that time, the Raptors were up 2 with just over a minute. Had the flagrant been called in the time it was, Toronto would have been awarded 2 shots plus possession. Now, I know you like the transparency of telling us this today, that, yeah, it should have been, and it is upgraded. But what are we supposed to do with that? What are the Raptors supposed to do with that information?
Understand that we have game 2 and game 1 got away from us because of the scenario you just described. We were up 2. We should have got 2 free throws. We would have been up 4. You send an 85% shooter to the line. You take the basketball out. They foul you again. Hopefully you make 2. It's a 6-point game. You walk off in victory. So this is what Dwayne Casey tells his basketball team. That was our win. We got to go snatch game 2. There's no taking back from the call.
Listen, I mean, I defer to you because you played it and I didn't. But every athlete I've ever interviewed talking about when a bad call costs you a game also says that didn't cost us the game by itself. Now, I agree with you. It's a terrible miss. And how they don't go back and look at it, which they do on everything in the NBA now, I have no idea. But let's put that aside for a minute. They've got 2 shots in the air that would have won the game. They had how many tips under the basket that would have won the game at the end of regulation?
3. So DeRozan, Miles.
I think the coach is going to say, you know what? Mistakes happen. Refs miss calls. But at the end of the day, we had a lot of chances to win that game and didn't do it anyway. Don't you believe that's part of the conversation?
But the issue for the Raptors is they struggle in the playoffs in game 1s playing at home, period. And it got compounded in game 1 when you come up short in a game where LeBron James isn't efficient.
So they're going to blame the refs? If you're the coach right now, you're going to go in there, you're going to say the officials have now admitted they cost us the game?
They didn't need the officials to admit it because they know what I knew. It should have been called in.
Right.
That's why I said it on our program yesterday.
The fans will have a field day with this.
Now that's different.
That's going to be louder than usual.
The conspiracy theorists will come out now. LeBron got away with a goaltend in the previous series.
It's fixed.
Now the Cavs, they see that LeBron is not on the super team. They're trying to help the King get to the finals.
All right, don't forget, and we have got basketball coming your way. These two are going to be busy tonight. 8:30 Eastern time after Cavs-Raptors Game 2 on ESPN. Then there's a special edition of SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt with a complete breakdown of that game with an assist from Rachel Nichols. You'll hear what LeBron said, plus a recap of Tigers' first round at Quail Hollow. That's SportsCenter with SVP, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. All right, still coming here on Get Up. Sir Charles says he's sorry. I can't wait to hear what Jalen thinks of that apology. And the Jazz and the Rockets go dunk crazy. Which one was the best? We will see them all coming up. Plus, did a freak injury last night prove the point of one of the most heated debates in sports? That's next. This is Get Up.
Hey, Paul.
Sprintern, what are you up to?
Showing you the